Today we're going to be talking about 6 steps to help you build a stronger brand. Even if you're just starting from scratch, even if you've already had a company for some time but you're just looking to revamp and refresh your brand, if you're in the middle of a rebranding process, this is the video for you, because I'm going to walk you through 6 steps to build a better, stronger, and more efficient brand, because you're going to build a brand that works for you, that does some of the heavy lifting so that you don't always have to tell people a whole long 30-minute speech about what you do. Your brand and your brand reputation can speak for itself. Hi, my name is Akia, and I'm the lead marketing consultant and CEO of The Hustle Lab. The Hustle Lab is a digital marketing agency, and I designed it to help you transition from being an employee to a full-time CEO. So if you're interested in running your business full-time and not having to be a solopreneur, outsourcing your marketing to be able to focus on the things that you really love, this is the place for you. This is the channel for you. The Hustle Lab is the brand for you. But today we're going to be talking about 6 steps to help you build a stronger brand. Let's jump into what a brand is and is not. So the first thing I'll say is a brand is not a company. And I cannot stress this enough. Just because you have a company, a business, an LLC, a corporation, an organization, whatever you want to call it, just because you have a business does not mean that you've developed your brand. A company is something that buys and sells products, but a brand is your reputation. It's the experience you give. It's what people know you as. So when I say your company name, your brand name, it's automatically going to generate certain keywords like organized or reliable or responsible or ethical or ego-conscious or cute or trendy or fashionable. You want your customers to think about those things when they hear your brand name. So just setting up a company that has an LLC, maybe you have a business structure, yeah, okay, that is how you're going to buy and sell products. That's how the money is going to trade hands, right? But that isn't what you're going to be known for. So you want to establish a brand, establish a reputation, build an experience around your company. So a brand is not a company. They're not synonyms. They're not the same thing, right? So in order for us to build a brand, we have to leverage the things that your company does well to build your reputation. Okay, now that we know a brand is not a company, let's get into another thing that a brand is not. A brand is not a logo. A logo is a symbol or a representation of your brand. So right now, if you're like, oh, I have a brand because I have a logo and I picked out cute fonts and cute colors, you really only did just a small piece of the branding. What's more important is the brand position. How do you want customers to think about you? What's more important is the brand experience. What's more important is your plan to build brand loyalty. Why will people stay loyal to you? Thing that branding is not, it is not marketing, right? So I'm a marketing expert, a marketing consultant. I built the Hustle Lab to be able to help you transition into being a full-time CEO, right? And one thing I know as a marketing expert is that a brand and your branding strategy has to come before your marketing. And here's why. Branding is all about creating the experience and the touch points that your customers are going to have with your business, right? It's going to be how you build your reputation. Marketing is bringing exposure to that. So if you're marketing, whether it's on social media, in a local newspaper, whatever you're using to marketing, right? If you haven't built your brand, that could be a big reason why your marketing is not doing the numbers that you need it to do. Because you have not built a foundation, you have not built a reputation, an expectation, an experience around your company. So what you're really just exposing is, hey, I sell products. That's the only thing you're bringing exposure to. You're not bringing exposure to the difference you make in the world or the difference you'll make in a customer's life. You're not bringing exposure to why your company is needed and why we even want it here, or why you decided to shake up the industry. You're not bringing exposure to those things because you haven't taken the time to do branding. So as a marketing expert, I typically sit with my clients and make sure that they have a solid brand foundation. In order for me to do my job well, or to help you do your job as a marketer better, you have to have a solid brand foundation so that we know what we're bringing exposure to, why we're bringing exposure to it, and who needs to be exposed to it. That is the difference between branding and marketing. So branding is going to be the experience, the feeling, the reputation, what you're known for, right? That's going to be branding. Branding is going to be all of those things that we can't quite, put our hands on, but that we love so much. It's the reason why we shop at certain stores, why we buy from certain places, why we eat at certain restaurants, because of the experience, because of the brand, right? The company buys and sells whatever they sell, whether it's food, clothes, cars, whatever they sell, that's the item. That's the thing that you're trading money to get that item, right? That's your company. Your brand is going to be your experience, your shopping experience, your experience when you buy, your experience after you buy and you're walking down the street and someone's like, hey girl, that's cute. Oh yeah, I got that from this store, right? That's the brand. And marketing is going to bring exposure to both of those. What is this company? What experience will I get for this company? How do I know that this company is right for me? This is going to be marketing. So we need branding, we need marketing, and of course we need your company, we need your business structure. And all of these things have to be in line when you are creating a business that is going to thrive and be successful, which I know you are on the road to that, right? So in order for us to build a solid brand, right? We've talked about that a brand is not a logo, it is not a company, and it's not marketing. But we've established that a brand is an experience, it is a reputation, and it is something definitely that you need to focus on because it's going to impact your company and your marketing. Your branding is going to be key. So I want you to pay attention to these steps on how to build your brand right now today. Everything I tell you, you can start working on right now today. So let's get into it. So the first step in building any brand, right, and this is super, super important, is study your playing field. Figure out who the players are in your industry. And so by players, I mean companies that are already, doing business in your industry. What are they buying? What are they selling? Who do they buy from? Who are their suppliers? Who are their distributors? Where do they show up? Are they online? Are they in Target? Are they in Walmart? Do they have their own storefronts? Where do they show up, right? You want to study that from A to Z. Be very detailed in how you study the playing field because it's going to impact every other step after this. Aside from the companies being a player, you also have customers as players in this playing field. So you want to know everything that you can about your customers. So it's going to be really important for you to study your playing field entirely, right? But I don't want you to get bogged down by analysis paralysis or, you're stuck in the research phase because I want you to be able to do deep research, to do thorough research, but also move through it knowing that this is just step one of several steps to build your brand. So what that means is you're going to do one of these four things to be able to study the playing field, right? So the first one is you're going to observe. Just pay attention. Maybe go to the mall and look at how people shop. Notice the window shoppers from the people who actually go in the store and come out with the bag. Just go and observe. Let's say, for example, you wanted to sell coffee. Go sit in a coffee shop. Go sit at Starbucks and see what people order. See how often people order. Are people regulars? Do they come every day? Take a week and just focus on observation. Just look at what's around you, see what's going on, see how people interact in the store. Think about all of those things, right? Because these are the people that you're going to be competing with. And not only do you want to take note of that because, okay, you want to know what's going on in your industry, but you also want to take note of that because that's who your customer is going to be comparing you to. You're a new business, you're a new brand, right? So your customer is going to compare you to what they already know. So what is it that they're already used to? This is going to help you build some expectations that your customer might have about your brand so that you know what standards you're being held to. Now, aside from looking at the players in the industry as far as the companies go, you want to also look at the customers. Now, like I said, observe. Go places and take note of what customers are doing. Just go with a notebook and take note of how people shop, the conversations that they're having. Do they shop with a mom? Do they shop with other people? Do they shop more on the weekend? Like, take note of what people are doing. Now, here's the second thing, right? So we talked about observation and how you're going to observe companies and people as they shop. The second thing is you want to dive deep into interviews. Now, the likelihood of you being able to interview a CEO is very slim, but I'm always going to tell you, shoot your shot. Try to see if you can talk to some industry experts and interview them and find out what are some things that they wish they knew when they first started. What are some things that they see coming in the industry? What are some trends they can predict? So go and try to find an industry expert, whether that's on Instagram or reaching out to somebody you know or talking to some friends using your network, whatever the case may be. You might want to interview an industry expert, someone who's been in this field and that's been doing the thing and that has hands-on experience. Aside from that, you also want to interview your customers. Interview your customers. Even if you don't have a single customer yet, interview a potential customer. Find out what they think about when they hear about your brand. Ask them, when you see my brand, what do you think? When you see the things that I sell, what are you thinking? Ask them questions so that you can get an insight on how other people are reading your brand, right? So if you already have a business, but you're looking to go back and establish your brand, this can be super, super, super helpful to you because it will let you know whether your goals are being translated in real life. So if your goal is to make your brand seem trustworthy and you ask your customers, hey, when you see my brand, what do you think? And one of the things that they say is reliable or trustworthy or responsible, you know that you've met your brand goal. But if they tell you anything other than what you've been hoping to convey to people, then you know maybe it's time to go back to the drawing board. And so with that being said, we know we want to interview and we want to observe. The third thing that you're going to do is do some online research. Go on your company's website, see what your website looks like compared to maybe some other people, or, do some research about your customers. Where do they live? How do they like to shop? What decisions do they like to make? What are some things that other people have uncovered about your potential customer, about your target audience that maybe your target audience doesn't know how to say about themselves? Because it's very often that customers don't even know some basic things about themselves that are very, very important for your branding and your marketing. So you want to go through and do some online research. There's a bunch of platforms to do that. One that comes to mind for me is answerthepublic.com. It basically compiles people's Google searches into a nice, neat little infographic that you can use by just typing in a topic. So if your topic is fast food, you can see pretty much anything that someone has searched up about fast food. And it lets you know what's on your customer's mind when it comes to fast food and some things that they're looking for answers for, or else they wouldn't be Googling it. So do some online research. Answerthepublic.com is super great. They aren't sponsoring me, but I love the tool, so I always plug that when I get a chance. Aside from doing interviews, observations, and online research, the other thing you're going to tap into is your own mind. Sit down and do some reflection. How do you shop? How do you make decisions? What is your experience with this industry? So for example, if you're a skincare company, what is it like to shop for skincare for you? Where do you go to shop for skincare? Do you go online or do you go in Target? Do you shop for skincare doing your regular grocery routine, or do you make special trips for your skincare? Do you trust dermatologists to tell you what's best for your skin, or do you trust your own experimentation, trial and error to know what products work for you? Think about how you shop, because you might be holding the key to your brand and your marketing. You might be holding the key right here in your head with your own thoughts. So sit down with the notebook and just reflect. If you're a teacher, if you're a tutor, how do you learn? How do you find out where tutors are? Do you go on Instagram, or do you type in tutoring near me into Google? Do you look on YouTube? Think about how you learn. Reflect on how you shop. Reflect on the things that you experience with brands out here, because we're also a part of the world. Brands also market to us, even though we're business owners, even though we're marketers, even though I'm a digital marketing expert. Brands still market to me and they work because I buy. So think about that. Use those 4 tactics: observation, interviewing, online research, and reflection to be able to study the playing field. Now that you've studied the playing field, right, you have an idea of what's going on currently. That was an important first step. But now we're going to move into building what you are going to do and how you're going to change that industry. So the first step in that process, but step 2 in the entire branding process, is going to be choose a focus player. So you've studied the playing field and you know the players in this playing field in your industry. You're going to choose a focus player to focus on. So the first decision you're going to have to make is, do you want to focus on the companies in the playing field or the customers in the playing field? And really that just means, do you want to be a supplier? Do you want to sell wholesale? Do you want to sell directly to businesses? Do you want to offer services to businesses? Do you want to offer services to business owners, to people who make decisions on behalf of a business? Is that what you would like to do? Or would you like to sell directly to people? People like you and I that live their everyday life. Do you want to sell to the everyday customer? Do you want to sell to the person who buys from companies? You know, what do you want to focus on? Will you focus on business or people? That's going to be super, super important, because that drastically changes what your brand needs to do, as well as what your marketing wants to bring exposure to. So focus on businesses or people. Which players do you want to focus on? And once you narrow down, okay, I want to focus on selling directly to people, or I want to focus on selling directly to businesses or business owners or business decision makers, right? Once you decide on that, then you're going to ask yourself, well, which ones? And that is my favorite part about target audience, which is essentially what your focus player is. Which ones? There's a lot of people that shop in a certain industry. For example, there's a lot of people who eat at restaurants. But there's different type of restaurant eaters. There's the occasional restaurant eater that only eats at restaurants for special occasions. There's the weekly restaurant eater that visits their favorite restaurant every week. There's the fast food restaurant over the sit-down restaurant. Which player are you going to decide to focus on? There's companies that sell directly to people. There's companies that sell to other companies. There's big companies. There's small companies. There's tech companies. There's clothing companies. You know, what are you going to focus on in your industry? So after you decide businesses or people, you're going to ask yourself, which one? Ask yourself, which one do you want to focus on? And this is going to be your focus play. So now you're going to enter the playing field, and you're going to enter this playing field with a specific goal in mind, which is to make this focus player's life 10 times easier than what it already is. So you need to be sure on who this person is and which one of the players you're actually going to focus on, that you're going to target. That's why it's called your target audience. But for the sake of the analogy, we studied the playing field, and now we're going to choose a focus player. Now that you've studied the playing field, found your focus player, I want you to dedicate some time to actually paying attention to your focus player. So go back to those 4 steps that we did to study the playing field, and now you're going to use those same 4 steps or those same 4 strategies to study your focus player. So that's going to be observation, interview, research, and reflection. So if you are just like the person you're focusing on, that might be really great for you to go in and reflect internally on what it's like to be that person. A lot of times we create companies to solve problems that we have ourselves. So this is a really good tool for you to use. So make sure, don't sleep on your own personal reflection, on your own experiences, because they're going to hold the key to your branding, because you know firsthand what it's like to struggle with this particular problem, or what it's like to exist in a particular way, and you have some firsthand experience that we cannot count out. So you're going to go ahead and devote some time to learn about your focus player. You're going to learn how they shop, why they shop, what triggers them to go in the store. Is it because they ran out of a product? Is it because a product isn't working? Is it because they need a routine maintenance, because it's a part of their self-care journey? It's a part of their self-care routine? Is it because it's a part of their daily routine? Why do they shop with a company like yours? Is it because they have a special event to go to? Is it because they're a business person? Is it because they need something to do? Is it because they have a certain hobby? You're going to spend some time and learn everything that you can about your focus player. Don't be scared to reach out to some people that you think would be great customers, or your ideal customer, or your potential customer, and interview them. Ask them, why do you shop with certain brands? What are your favorite brands? Why are they your favorite brands? What goes through your head when you go in the store and you see these brands? When did you first start shopping with these brands? I'm just giving you a bunch of questions to use in interviewing and observing and researching and reflection. Use these questions. Please jot them down. Go ahead and rewind that, play it back, and jot down those questions because they're going to make a difference in how you understand your focus player. So essentially what this is, and what I've just walked you through, is doing your market research, finding your target audience, and then doing your target audience research. And now we're going to get into step number 4. So now that you've spent some time getting to know your target audience, getting to know that focus player, right? You spent some time observing, researching, reflecting, whatever it is that you did. You spent some time getting to know this focus player. I want you to ask yourself this question. If you could be a best friend to the focus player that you're choosing to target, right? If you could be their best friend, or if you were their best friend, what would they tell you in confidence, or what's something that they would call you about and complain about all the time? So that's going to be that thing that like bugs them, especially when it comes to your industry. So what is the thing that they're going to complain about or tell you in confidence, or say, hey girl, like, I just can't do it anymore. I've been going to the store every day and I can't find this. Or I've been doing this for 6 weeks and I can't get these results. What are they going to tell you if you were their best friend? Because that's what you're going to focus on. You're going to focus on providing a solution with value. So think about, if you were your target audience or your focus player's best friend, what would they be complaining to you about? What would they be telling you in confidence? Think about that, because that's where you're going to provide a solution and where your brand is going to need to offer value to. That's where your mission statement is going to come from. That's where your purpose is going to be built from. That's where you're going to understand how to articulate your mission statement and your purpose so that it makes sense to your customer when they experience a certain problem that they've been complaining about, or that they hide from other people because they don't want other people to know. So that's going to be super, super, super important. Because the products you make are a reflection of your company, brand, and marketing. They're also going to impact your company, brand, and marketing. Now, in the last step, you imagined if you were their best friend, what would they complain about and what would they tell you in confidence, so that you can uncover a problem that they're having and you know what solution to provide. Now, think about, stay with the idea that you're their best friend, right? What would you be like if you were their best friend? What would your personality be like? Would you be outgoing? Would you be free-spirited? Would you be very strict and technical? Would you be formal? Would you be super informative? Would you be easy to understand? Would you be heartfelt and loving? So all of these things are characteristics that we would see in a person. So imagine if your brand was this focus player's best friend. What personality would you have? And then that's going to translate into your brand's personality. So if you find that this person is struggling with, maybe let's say, weight loss, so they need a friend that's going to hold them accountable but still be sensitive to the things that they're going through when they look at themselves and they're not where they want to be. So therefore, your brand should be something that holds a person accountable but still takes into account that this person has feelings and they're going through a transition in their life. So anytime you write a caption, a mission statement, something on your website, you send an email, you want to tap into that personality of holding someone accountable but still taking into consideration that their weight is significantly connected to how they feel about themselves. So you want to be not only motivating, but you want to be supportive. And so this is going to be really important, because this is what people are going to connect to. Your brand's personality is going to be a major asset to your branding. It's going to be a major asset to your marketing. So you want to be sure that you think about, if you were your focus player's best friend, what would your personality be like? What would they want you to be like being their best friend? What is the idea of a perfect best friend? for that focus player. And that might even be a helpful question for you to ask if you get the chance to interview someone who could be a potential customer, or maybe existing customers, or perhaps someone who fits the criteria of being your focus player. So we've went through everything on how to build your brand behind the logo, right? Because I told you in the beginning of this video, a brand is not a logo. A logo is a representation of your brand. So now, by studying the playing field, choosing a focus player, learning about that focus player, deciding what the best friend to this focus player would be able to do, and what they might be hearing as a best friend, what the person might complain to their best friend about, right? We did all of that. So we've built the brand. We understand how we need to show up. We understand the position that we want to hold in our customers' lives. We get it. We're there. Now is for the fun and exciting part that every entrepreneur loves, which is the visual part, which is the symbol part, right? This is the building of the logo, creating the slogan, creating the tagline, making a jingle, whatever it is that you want to do to be able to capture that you fully understand your focus player or your target audience or your ideal customer, whatever you want to call them. You want to be able to tell that person that within 5 seconds. That's what a logo does. That's what brand colors do. That's what a slogan does. That's what a jingle does. That's what brand fonts do. You want the person to feel like you thoroughly understand them as a person, and you understand what they need, and you understand the responsibilities that you're taking on by just looking at your brand, by just hearing your jingle, right? So I want you to ask yourself this question. What can you say, do, or show your customer that will make them feel like you understand exactly where they are, exactly where they want to be, and exactly how you're going to get them there? This is where it's really, really important to build the brand behind the logo, so that you know exactly what your logo needs to look like, what your brand colors need to look like, what your brand font needs to look like. And you don't just create a logo that looks good or looks cute, but you create a logo that effectively captures and represents your brand. And when you have a quality logo and you have a quality brand behind the logo, your company gets stronger, and you're building the reputation for your company. And then it makes my job as a marketer 10 times easier, because I'm able to focus on bringing exposure to the excellence that you already have and that you're already capturing with your brand experience and your brand reputation. So we went through all of the steps of building a brand. There were 6 steps in total, and I want you to get to action right now today. You can strengthen your business right after watching this YouTube video. Use these steps, these 6 steps, to strengthen your brand reputation. That is what is going to bring customers. That is what is going to keep customers. That is what's going to make your marketing the most effective it can be. Focus on building a strong brand, a strong representation. So when we come in and we market this company you have, this business you have, we're only shedding light to what's already great. We're just exposing your greatness, right? And it becomes easy. It starts to become routine, rinse and repeat, because we're really just exposing the greatness that you've already captured through your company and your brand. We're bringing the right kind of attention, the money-making kind of attention to your brand. I hope you're running to do these 6 steps. After you do the 6 steps, come chat with me. If you get stuck in the 6 steps, come chat with me. The link is in the description, where there's way more where this comes from. What this video is just scratching the surface. I can help you build a personalized strategy for your business. So schedule those free marketing calls. Take advantage of these free marketing calls to build a better brand and to start bringing the right money-making attention to your business. Bye for now. I'll be back with another YouTube video dropping the marketing gems to help you transition into being a full-time entrepreneur. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.